Are you looking for a fun way to win up to 25 times your money this football and basketball season? Test your skills on Prize Picks, the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Just select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projections for a wide variety of stats, and place your entry. It's as easy as that. If you have the skills, you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. Easy gameplay, quick withdrawals, and injury insurance on your picks are what makes Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Ready to test your skills? Join the Prize Picks community of more than 7 million players who have already signed up. Right now, Prize Picks will match your first deposit up to $100. Just visit prizepicks.com/bluewire and use code BLUEWIRE. That's code BLUEWIRE at prizepicks.com/bluewire for a first deposit match of up to $100. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.
Support for this podcast comes from Frito-Lay in the 2023 Snack Bracket Championship. The Frito-Lay Snack-It Challenge is underway, and fans are voting on their favorite snacks to crown champion. We're talking about primetime matchups between the best 64 snacks in the land. Will Ruffles Ridges reign supreme? Can Doritos defend their dynasty? Or will Smart Food use their smarts for a surprise upset? Only you can decide. Get in on all the action for a chance to win up to $1,000 or a year's worth of snacks. Let your snacks be heard. Just go to fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com to vote and enter for a chance to win. No purchase necessary. Sweepstakes ends April 3rd, 2023. Void where prohibited. Year's worth of snacks awarded in the form of 52 coupons, each good for 1 bag of chips. See official rules at fritolaysnacket.sbnation.com.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mavs Party. It is... What day is it? It's Wednesday, October 5th. It's about 10 o'clock at night. I am here on Spotify Live talking to all of you wonderful people after the Dallas Mavericks just defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder in their first preseason game, 98-96. Now, as we all know, we probably shouldn't overreact to anything in preseason, but I don't care, so we're going to anyway. Here's what I would love for you guys to do. I want you to come up on stage, give me your take, what thing you liked, what thing you didn't like, anything you want to talk about, we're going to talk about. Because the thing about basketball being back, it means we get to hang out together. As you guys know, you want to hit that speaker request button down there at the bottom. And then when you're up here on stage, you want to be looking for the green light or the green ring around your name to light up. That means that the audience can hear you. I watched the game pretty closely. 7 o'clock start time was a little rough for me. Watching it on Mavs.com was a little bit of a challenge, just because a little bit of lag with the stream compared to the audio. But at the same time, I still appreciate what those guys at Mavs.com brought to the table. Thought it was a fun broadcast. I wanted to argue with them a little bit, but that's what makes a fun broadcast. We don't need to agree with each other all the time. Coming up first is my man Krishna, who I have not talked to in some time. What's going on, dude?
Hey, Kirk. It's good. I've been really busy. Just going outside for the first time in a long time, but I didn't see the game, but I'm looking at the box score and stuff. And obviously I've been listening to everything. It's interesting. I think it's the preseason. So I'm always one to be very apprehensive with preseason stuff, but it's always obviously good to win. That's always a good thing. And it looks like, they were down for a little bit and to come back is fine, but again, it's preseason. It's kind of hard to put it in perspective.
Yeah, and so obviously Luka didn't play. Tim Hardaway didn't play. Davis Bertans didn't play. Our favorite randomly very fast Latvian laser. Maxi Kleba didn't play, and JaVale McGee didn't play. So when 4 of your key rotation players don't play, there's not a lot to necessarily take from the game as a whole. But there are some things I think that you can focus on and really choose to be happy about or grumpy about. I will just get this. The thing that I am looking for the most in the preseason is what Josh Green contributes. And I liked what he did tonight. He played 23 minutes, 9 points, some assists, some turnovers, no real rebounding. played real hard, but the thing for me was that I thought he really played under control. There was nothing that he did that was really like wildly out of bounds. For me, no like bananas jump passes. He had a real cool steal in the lay or dunk actually. There's just sort of like the continuing air of confidence that we've seen from this from the preseason so far from him. You know, it translated to an actual basketball game. And I was delighted by that. There's obviously, you know, if you're box score hunting, Krishna, the Jaden Hardy experience is something you're going to enjoy watching tomorrow because that's a guy who looked like he was having a fun time out there. Granted, he was scoring a lot of points against scrubs, but I don't care. He looked good with space. I enjoyed it.
For sure. And yeah, obviously, like, everything looks good at a box score. Like, but it is, again, it's the box score versus what you actually see on the court. But, you know, preseason it's weird. Like, the best players are usually not going to play. But it's not that preseason doesn't matter at all because, you know, like, obviously, like, Phoenix infamously just lost to, like, the Adelaide 36ers, like, a few days ago. And you can see, like, just the environment is not good. Like, there's just not a good feeling on that team. Like, Jay Crowder is not even, like, on the bench or something, and it's just not good. There's indicators of where the environment is if it's not necessarily the play. And you just know how players feel and look. And Josh Green, like, I think you've talked about it kind of all summer, is I don't question so much the ability or the skill because he has that in him. It's so much of if you make a mistake, can you get over it and still do something good? Because what we've seen from him is that he'll do something really good and he'll kind of build up to this. But one mistake or one event can push him back all that progress. And that's kind of what I felt like happened last season.
Yeah, and that's sort of that's gonna happen with any sort of young player's growth. You know, the people who kind of have come up on stage for over 2 years and have yelled at me about not being patient enough with him, there's a little bit of like cross signaling going on. Henry Melton with the 76ers is like coming into his own after several years of figuring things out. I think Josh Green is the young enough kind of player to figure things out. It's a question of, is he going to figure things out on a timeline that will help the Dallas Mavericks? He handled the ball tonight and actually looked like he could bring up the ball for 5-6 minutes a game. I would honestly, like, compared to Frank Ntilikina, I was like, hey, Josh Green, point guard, let's do it. And the shot looked pretty good. There's just sort of like an element of real like calming maturity from Green that I liked in this game.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've felt the whole time is Frank, you know, you've talked about it, Frank kind of converting to a 3-and-D wing just because his wingspan is insane. And also he has really good defensive abilities and just like reading. And he's never shown that innate playmaking ability. I think if he was ever going to play make, it's going to be out of set moves. And even that is, I think, asking a lot from him to do that 10 minutes every game almost.
Yeah.
Whereas with Josh, you know, you've seen like he does passes that probably the only person on the team is like Luka would attempt or even like make those passes. And it's much more of my thing was always, can you teach Frank Ntilikina the ability and get that playmaking ability out of him? Or can you give Josh Green the knowledge and the know-how of when to do what? And I always had a little more confidence that you can teach Josh Green to use his abilities in the right way more than Frank gaining those abilities this far. And it's you have to like put it into perspective because Josh is only a year older than Hardy. And like, you think about his NBA experience, it's definitely not been like the most conducive to improving like what he's done. But again, like we're talking about the 9th or 10th guy on the bench, which when you're talking about that, it's always hard to say like they need to be an A-plus player. Like very few teams, even the Warriors from last season, like you can say their 10th guy is like amazing and contributing all the time. It's more that you just don't want your 10th person to be a complete deficit.
Sure. Well, you know, it was a very, since you didn't watch, like it was a very sloppy game. the 24 turnovers, and if we take away McKinley Wright's 10 assists and no turnover by himself, the Mavericks had 20 assists. McKinley Wright had 10 of them. And so that means everyone else on the roster had 10 total assists, and Josh Green had 4 of those, I believe. And then everyone else had 24 turnovers. It was ugly. It was like the offense they're going to run is like so Luka centric, right? It's one of these. It's certainly one of these things where guys are making like cross court passes that really are sort of Luka's bag. So it's really something to like watch what they're doing or what they're trying to do. And I just don't know how that's going to go. Now, again, one game, don't really care because, maybe they'll run something different when it's like Luka's out of the game. I don't know. I'm trying not to like overanalyze a ton of tape, but well, I really appreciate you coming up here and getting us started. You got anything else while you're looking at the line?
I mean, not really. Like you're saying, it's kind of just it's cool to see these guys play, and it's good to see that they don't hate each other. I mean, you kind of talked about it. I just listened to your podcast from today, and kind of one of the things you guys talked about was it's important that the environment, like the personal environment, I don't know how to put it, like the work environment, just like the feeling around the team is still positive, because obviously that's something I feel you can always take away more than the actual play. And
Sure.
You talked about the vibes. That's what it was. I was like, what is the word they used? What are the vibes going to be like? And I think it's really easy to forget, but even last year, like beginning of the year wasn't great, but always how that feels is going to be really indicative. And kind of on the whole Luka thing, I don't remember if it was you or someone else, but you can kind of see where this team is going. And then obviously it's a very home run or bust like method of Luka is your heliocentric ball handler, and everyone else around him obviously is supposed to fit. And it's very much, maybe fans don't want to hear this, like 2020 Lakers, where like LeBron is the heliocentric offensive creator and kind of everyone fits around him. The main difference is you have AD, who at that, especially in 2020, was insane. I mean, he was actually insane, but it's very bust or boom, right? Kind of thing. And when you don't have that,
go ahead.
Well, but boom in the sense, like, obviously if Luka's not playing, less of like Luka being on the floor. I think even if he's on the floor for a lot of it, they're still gonna be fine. But bust in the sense of if, like, God forbid he gets an injury or anything, but it's kind of like a lot of it surrounds Luka. But I think we've seen enough where Luka can do that. It's not that, Luka can't carry an offense. He can do a lot with an offense. And like you talked about, this is like, you don't have that guy there, the guy who your entire one half of this game revolves around. It's going to be really hard to do anything.
For sure. Well, thanks so much, man. I hope you enjoy these. I hope you're able to come back. I'm sorry you've been busy, but I'm glad to have you back in the mix here.
No, it's been good. I love listening to them in podcast form anyways, and I'm glad other guys are coming in and enjoying, and everyone's happy. So thank you, Kirk.
All right. Talk soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Coming up next is my man Drew. How we doing, Drew? It's late for you, so I figured we'd get you in and get you out.
Well, thanks, Kirk. Hey, it's great to talk to you again. I have to admit, I did not watch the game. I didn't look at the box score. It popped up on my phone. Says, hey, well,
Sure.
Let me say, hey, Kirk, it's been a while, and I need to get back into it. And I just got a couple of points. I know we've talked about Josh Green before, and, my biggest thing was that basically they took a flyer on a great athlete that was barely old enough to be out of high school. So, I mean, to be realistic, everybody, you had to know it was going to take some time. And I think this is his make or break year now. But, the thing that kind of got me is we were always comparing him to Desmond Bane. I know they could have had Desmond Bane. But right now, this year, Josh Green is the same age that Desmond Bane was in his rookie year. So this is the year. Let's see what he's got. He's had time to learn. I think he's developed some basketball skills and not just be an athlete. And we'll see.
Yeah,
One other thing. Okay, go ahead, and then I'll get my.
I think if you watch any highlights from him, it's nice. Feelings on him are just so all over the map, but it's kind of hard to understate the feel of confidence that I've seen from like the practice, the fan jam, and this, where he's a lot more. He's just not walking on eggshells, and at least early on, and I hope that continues.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of maturity too. Like I said, we forget how young. I mean, like I said, he was the age. Some kids were still in high school at the age he came in. So some of that's maturity. And one other thing I wanted to ask you about Jaden Hardy, I just saw in there. The thing that stuck out to me is 4 for 9 from 3-point land. What can you tell me about that? I mean, they look good.
He is not shy. I will. He's gonna have fun in NBA space. When he played at Summer League, he was he was one of the by far one of the Mavericks' best players, and he's not a point guard.
No, I did watch all those games though, but he was just like those games were jacking up everything, but there wasn't nobody to play with. Damn that.
He just looked real good tonight. He's not like a one-of-one athlete or anything, but he's got a nice frame. He's fairly lengthy. He's got pretty good size. Like there's just enough where in the right circumstances, I think he's going to be able to give Dallas something eventually. Now, if that's this year, he's either way outperforming expectations or Dallas is having some real problems. But, I like the way the shot looks. It's hard.
That's what I was asking about. Is the stroke there, or was that just a fluke 4 for 9?
It's there. I really think it's there because you remember Josh's rookie year, and it's just like we're all kind of like, oh no.
Yeah.
Like
no, it didn't look good.
That's not the case. Like there's some points of refinement, but it's taken confidently. I think it's the same motion. I just like it.
Well, that's good because if he could just do that, just be a consistent 3-point threat, with Luka, that you're going to get open looks.
Sure.
And I really feel good about. I don't know what it is. I just feel good about this season. I think the guys that want to be there are there. I think Luka's going to come in with a new attitude. I know we missed Jalen and everything like that, but he didn't want to be there. At least what it turns out and everything like that. And I think Jason's kid's going to have these guys bought in, and they are going to play. We don't really have any really great players other than Luka, but I think they're all going to fit in. They all have roles to fill, and I think if they do that, I think this team will be fine.
I couldn't get my unmute button to work. Yeah, I'm feeling like tentatively bullish on this team. Bobby's talked about this. Bobby Corrala, Mavs.com. We've talked about it a little bit. Like they got to get off to a good start. They've had 2 straight years of rumbling, bumbling, stumbling, and that's largely because Luka's been out of shape. Everybody gets that now, and he doesn't look out of shape now. I think he's going to be a guy that we kind of constantly whine about his fitness, but I think he went 270 when he came into camp last year.
I know.
That's just not happening.
No, he was a pig last year. There's no question. He came in. It was just ridiculous. Yeah.
Well, and so there was. I saw somebody during the fan jam talking about. Well, the Mavs have him listed at 230. Well, he was 230 as a rookie. That stuff doesn't really change unless there's big.
You can't pay attention to that.
Yeah. So but he looks good. Like he looks good right now, and I think that'll make all the difference. I think he's probably ready to get going, and we got 13 days till this stuff kicks off. I'm looking forward to it.
And then one other thing. Yes, it was Spencer Dinwiddie. I'm looking for some good things out of him because remember, he was coming off the MCL last year. That second year back from the ACL, typically that's the year when they look really good. So I'm hoping Spencer kind of comes all the way back.
Well, he's talked a lot about it, but I'm really curious what all the way back means because if you go look at his counting stats, the games he played with Dallas last year was some of the best run of his career.
True, yeah. And
so, and does that mean as kind of a secondary guy to Luka, does that mean something different than the roles he's played prior? It could. I legitimately don't know what that means. I do love how he talks right now. Some of his preseason stuff has been real gold. Like he might be the only Maverick player that doesn't speak with a filter, and that's a lot of fun.
Oh, he says what he means. Yeah. That's for sure. Oh, yeah. All right. Thanks, Greg. I'll let you go, man. It's good talking to you.
Talk soon, buddy. All right, coming up next is Brent Brooks, who is a Mavs Moneyball contributor. What's up, dude?
Hey, man, I am so happy right now. My little point guard hopeful. 10
You
assists,
want to talk
no
about
turnovers.
McKinley Wright at 10:30 on a Wednesday night, don't you?
Yeah, because I think in-house they keep talking about, I don't think Josh Green, anybody can really take that seriously, that Josh is going to be a point guard or be the one that they really see bringing the ball up the court and initiating a pick and roll. He's a secondary creator. And they keep talking about Frank. Frank's done it before. Frank's attempted it before. I just don't see point guard body language out of Frank Ntilikina. He's very talented in certain aspects of the game, but if you watched McKinley, like I had a friend call me tonight I hadn't talked to in years, so I had to turn the sound down, let him talk in my ear, and I was watching the game out of the corner of my eye, and every time McKinley had the ball, that's who I was focused on. And he is a point guard in body language and in execution. He can shoot the ball, but he's not looking for his shot. You know that thing that point guards do that you never see Frank and don't put it on Josh. Nobody should expect this out of him, but this isn't really something that anybody but point guards do, which is they're dribbling with one hand and they're directing traffic with the other like they're in their sleep. It's just second nature to them, and that's McKinley's body language coming out of the court. He's telling guys where to go and what to do to get the offense into motion. And it only happens for maybe a second and a half, but guys go, oh, okay, that's what we're doing, and they move. And there was a three that Hardy hit, and you could tell these kinds of games might not be important when your roster spot is secure, but when it's not, and when your goal is maybe that other two-way spot, this game and the next two really are important for Wright. And Hardy hits an important three because they want to win this game, and he's just clapping. It wasn't like a slow clap. This was very intense, like
Sure.
In claps in a row, like, hey, maybe we can pull this out. And that's the kind of thing I hope that the coaching staff notices, because in terms of our roster and our invitees, he's the third point guard. Whether or not they trade for somebody else, as it stands right now, he's the third point guard based on the resume on the roster. And the question is, are any of these other guys going to shine more than him between now and the time they have to make that decision?
That's probably what's painfully uncomfortable, because it's if we're being realistic, and you and I have talked about this offline. So, like, what – at certain points, elements of production don't matter. My man, Ruben in the chat is like, he's probably going to end up in Frisco if the Mavs have an opportunity. I think that's probably right. But, Andy asks, did McKinley Wright look really good? Long periods of the offense, like point guard. He had 10 assists and 0 turnovers, and the rest of the Mavericks had 10 assists and 24 turnovers. So there's like an element here. Like it's like the offense was terrible tonight, and I'm not taking anything away from that. I also don't want to like wildly overreact to McKinley's performance, but I understand why you say that, just because they need to have some sort of offense ran, and this is more like kind of a criticism of the offense than it is a particular player. But I hate these half-ass pick and rolls where a guy goes up and sets like a show screen and then sort of turns around and runs at the basket. Like that's not execution of offense. Like, that's motion for motion's sake. And again, we're talking about like the third quarter of a first preseason game, so it's like a little bit silly to get too much into it. But I don't think at the end of the day, just my early take and knowing what I've seen historically out of professional teams, McKinley Wright could have 0 turnovers and 35 assists in 3 preseason games, and the Mavericks aren't gonna sign him. So
I guess I'm holding out hope. Just
I get it.
He feels like the closest thing we have to a, quote, third ball handler in-house. And, in terms of those 10 minutes where neither Spencer or Luka, injury-free, they're both in the game, but for whatever reason, maybe driven by the score, neither one are in the game, who do you want the ball to be carried up the floor by? And I realize it's a two-way contract and that has its limitations, but the idea of Frank or even worse, I don't think Josh Green's a point guard. So McKinley's our in-house option until they make a move and give us somebody else to talk about.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you, Brent. Thank you very much. You got anything else?
Rough game for Tyler Dorsey.
Man, our man Jack, who wrote the recap for Mavs Moneyball, said that Tyler Dorsey better find his passport. He was real bad. I don't understand what happened tonight.
Well, could it be that he already has that two-way contract and maybe he's not as focused as he would be if he was playing for something?
I mean, he got up 6 shots in 12 minutes. That's tough. That's some gunning material right there. I kind of respect it. So, well, thanks so much, Brent, for coming up here on stage. We'll talk soon, all right?
You bet. Take care, man.
All right, and while we're here, Brent wrote a piece which I'm pumping up again. It's on Mavs Moneyball. It's about a psychological concept called flow that basically in 1,400 words he really walks us through why the vibes being immaculate matters. And I've been thinking about this particularly as news broke tonight that Draymond Green, local clown show and center of attention in so many things, despite being like the fourth option on the Warriors championship team, got into a fight with another player who's also looking for a contract in Jordan Poole, and already has created podcast material out of it, which respect. But I bring that up to note that the Mavericks have been so drama free, and I don't think we emphasize that enough. There's some kind of understood drama, like when KP existed, but I don't think any of those guys disliked KP. It was a matter of there being things they had to figure out basketball-wise that he didn't work out. And since Luka's been on the team, there just hasn't been a lot of on-court team-generated drama. There's been backcourt, or there's been, front office drama and things of that nature, but I think me in particular, kind of underrate how valuable it is that like these guys seem to like each other. And that was evident, once again, we talked about it in the fan jam. I think that's a lot of fun. I just sort of wanted to bring that up. Jazz in the chat notes, Kirk, will Tyler Dorsey fumbling a Euroball contract be worse than Dennis Schroeder's fumbling of the bag? Woo, that's tough, man, because we all know that Dorsey gave up basically, I want to say it was like $4 to $6 million like guaranteed money from like another Euroball team and a EuroLeague team, and that's tough. Ruben asks in the chat what happens with Draymond. He punched Jordan Poole in practice, and then that got out because of course it got out. There's just some real like nice stuff about the Mavericks vibes compared to the Nets or Phoenix and things of, just along those lines. And it makes me feel pretty good going into this. I'm really, guys, I've got to tell you, we're 30 minutes into this and nobody's talking about Christian Wood. Nobody's brought up Christian Wood. And I want to talk about Christian Wood with somebody, but I don't want to be the one to say the thing about Christian Wood. Am I going to have to be the one that says it about Christian Wood? I think that Christian Wood has a long way to go. Through the practice, through the fan jam, and through this, we have seen the full Christian Wood experience. And honestly, early returns leave me with a bad taste in my mouth. It's not an overwhelming, just slightly bitter, and I'm a little bit concerned. That's my preseason overreaction at the moment. There's very little he can't do offensively. Offensively, he looks fine. Defensively, he looks confused and disinterested. And that's a hurdle because Dallas needs his offense, but they cannot deal with the defense. There are times like Oklahoma City stinks, you guys. They stink. I know it's preseason, but they stink. And it's a little much for me. Ruben notes he had a double-double. He stunk for parts of the game. I mean, the rebounding is interesting in and of itself, and I do want to kind of talk about that big picture, but he does have a nose for the ball on going and grabbing rebounds. But I find myself frustrated. The body language, the sort of don't talk about it, be about it mindset that I think he needs to have. There's elements of where you watch him and you've heard sort of the negative press about him through 3 public appearances. So 1 practice, one scrimmage, and 1 preseason game We've just seen why he hasn't stuck with the team. Okay, I pissed people off enough to where they want to come up and talk about this. Outstanding. Coming up first, Miguel. How you doing, Miguel? Hit that unmute button there at the bottom. Give him a second to see it.
Kirk, can you hear me?
I can. Welcome.
Hey, yeah, sorry, I'm a little sick, but I did want to talk about Christian Wood. That body language today where I saw like on his defense, it was like, I don't know, because I know it's preseason, but then again, like you want to start, you should be able to you should see this as an opportunity for you to like, show that you can start and have like a lot more play time. But when it came to his body language, blowing missing layups, I know that one guy said that he did a double-double, but at the same time, I mean, I hope you had a double-double against the OKC Thunder. But yeah, that's all I wanted. That's all I had. But yeah, I just want to let you know. Yeah.
Am I not? I'm not alone. I'm not out here on an island whining. Okay, I appreciate that. I hope you feel better, man. Thanks for taking the time to come up.
Yeah, thank you, Kirk.
Mm-hmm. All right, coming up next, then we got Brandon. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, Kirk, long time no talk.
Welcome back.
Well, I guess I briefly want to respond to the Wood. I largely, bad vibes guy wherever he's been. Don't want to hash that too much, but at least as far as the defense goes, I am willing to give some leeway because if you recall last year, the entire team stunk at defense because it's not the easiest system to learn.
Great point.
With all the rotations. I mean, it's very much about knowing exactly where you have to be on time.
I mean, it's why Willie Cauley-Stein didn't work out, because Willie Cauley-Stein has all the athletic traits in the world and then the motor of a dead fish.
Don't ever mention that name to me again, Kirk. I have tried to move past
Grand
that time
Rio Viper, Willie Cauley-Stein.
But yeah, I just don't have a Christian Wood take yet.
I think that's fair.
If it doesn't work out, he's $14 million expiring contract. But really, what I wanted to talk briefly about was, I guess, kind of related to Christian Wood not starting. And for anybody who hasn't checked out IzTalk's most recent article about Dallas lineups, go read it. It's awesome, very insightful. But
IzTalk, come back to Mavs Moneyball. We'll get your work read. I'm just kidding. I love it. IzTalk's my man. I talked to him today. He always writes great stuff.
Oh yeah, no, it's really insightful here about just kind of the best lineups that work with Luka, and why it does give me a little bit more optimism, I guess, about the starting lineup. Just kind of give a quick rundown. Generally, Luka plus one ball handler works well. Luka with at least three shooters works really well. And Luka with at least three defenders. So basically, the lineup we saw in the playoffs with him, Brunson, Reggie, Dorian, and then Maxey, that was kind of the only lineup that we could play. Maybe sub out Brunson for Spencer. That was really the only variation that we could play. But now with JaVale, you have one big, who is actually good at defense, unlike Dwight Powell, at least to some degree. And then you still have your wings. You still have another ball handler. And then there's still some hope with Josh Green possibly improving, Christian Wood maybe being able to handle the ball some. So I'm kind of optimistic about this lineup, what kind of the permutations could be of it. But it is going to depend mainly on Wood, Josh Green, and even Tim Hardaway stepping up his defense. Because one thing, our defense did not really take off until Tim Hardaway got hurt last year.
Yeah. If Jason Kidd can get Tim Hardaway to play defense, like Jason Kidd can get Tim Hardaway to play defense, or get Christian Wood to play defense, we need to be talking about him in like religious overtones, because that, like, there was a GIF, I think Dalton Trigg shared it. It was from 2 seasons ago, where Tim Hardaway is literally spinning in a circle. Like, he spins around twice because he doesn't know where he's supposed to go. And it's stuck in my head forever. But, man, I'm so sad we didn't get Timmy tonight. I think you're right. It's a measured approach, measured take. It's going to take buy-in from him and from everyone else, like figuring out how to play together. It's something that sticks in my craw because as a really shitty basketball player that only made it because I played hard, playing hard is sometimes the only thing within your control. And when I see a guy not doing that, it vexes me.
I'm right there with you. I basically played like Dennis Rodman back in the day, so I definitely agree with that. I guess that's why I've always been high.
Though. That corner three he stuck was awesome.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That is one thing. If nothing else works, I can at least feel good that whenever he pops for Luka on the pick and roll, unlike KP, he's actually going to hit the shot. It's not just theoretical.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's a smooth-looking shot. There's one guy who always comments him as Moneyball, good dude, who was arguing with one of our other guys about how he thinks that KP is a better shot maker than Wood, and I'm just like, I don't see it. His percentages are better, and the kind of shots he's going to get in the offense are the kind of shots that we need dudes to hit. And it's just, I'm the offensive element of Wood is just not something that's going to worry about. I mean, it's a silly comparison, but the fact that you run Wood and Luka on NBA 2K 2023 and they are just a monstrous duo, like that matters to me. It's silly, but I love watching them play. Well, thanks, Brandon. You got anything else?
No, that's all I've got for now. Surprisingly, I'm not too heated about one preseason game.
No, it's good. It's good stuff.
Maybe that's a good sign.
Overall, like I got to see some stuff that I liked. I'm looking forward to seeing it on a reel. Like no offense to the Mavs folks, I thought they did great, Mavs.com people, but I'm looking forward to seeing the broadcast. That was one thing that was a reminder tonight.
So. Yeah, at this juncture.
All right, talk soon, buddy.
Thank you.
Okay, now we got people talking. This is what happens when I talk shit. Ruben, what's up?
Hey,
welcome back.
Hey, man, I got to watch that game. Hey, we're not gonna. If we're not going to take too much from this game, we're not going to trash my boy C. Wood like this, okay? He had a double-double, and it looks like – what other big man do we ask to bring it up the court? He did that a couple times, if I'm not mistaken.
He's the third best ball handler.
Yeah. So, we're going to cut him some slack. He still had a double-double, and you could kind of tell that he was still trying to figure out, hey, when do I switch? Because even I noticed when he was bringing it up the court, like Jason Kidd is trying to – tell him a play, and they kind of like, what am I supposed to do right here? Da, da, da. So I would give him a little bit of more time to figure out his switches and to be a little bit more to make it look like he knows where he's going on our defense, I would say.
I'm sorry. Could you repeat that last line? It cut out on my end.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I would just say give him a little bit more time to let him know a little bit more time on our defense to know all the calls and know where it looks like he's going when we need him to, to switch. I would just give him a little bit more time and not judge off of one preseason game.
That's a months-long thing. It's the point about the defense not really coming together until January for the Mavericks last year is of import because that's not a one-player thing. That's like a connective chain issue with the entire team. And that stuff is I think that's fair. I watched all this stuff and I just need better body language. I just need it.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm not going to get it. But
he just looks unsure of himself right now. Kind of like what Spencer was talking about on like Pinson's podcast where he didn't want to come in and ruffle feathers or whatnot and all of that. And, you're telling him to be the sixth man. First game out, he's starting, and, he's asking, hey, can I play the 5 at practice? I don't even think they let him play the 5, but first game out, he's playing the 5. Well, I think they let Powell in there for a little bit, but still, I think it's just going to be some time, but I like what I saw tonight. I'm not going to stick on Seawood. We're just going to let him, do his thing because I know he's going to be hungry to get that next contract. But, man, if anybody was thinking Jaden Hardy was not going to get any playing time this season, I'm sorry. Y'all are sorely mistaken. This kid right here just like what was the one shot? I thought it was blocked. I'm sorry. That shot looked blocked, and he was in the corner. I don't know if he was on the corner or on the right side. It just the defender jumps up and it goes like all net. Like the kid got like ice in his veins. Like looks like Nico. I don't know. I don't want to go overboard on the first preseason game, but this kid looks legit.
I'm still I want him to get a ton of reps. So that's where like any sort of conversation about him playing in the G League comes from, just because, between passing and shot making and the ability to get these things off, you don't want to have happen to him what happened to Josh Green, which was he got a couple opportunities, but because this is a team competing that theoretically wants to compete for a championship right now. So that's where it's coming from. But I think that if he continues to get reps, he looked good with space. I spoke about his confidence earlier, and that is something that's just sort of matters to me relative to what we've seen from Josh Green over the years. So if he comes up and manages to play 45 games with the Mavs and plays some minutes here and there, that'd be outstanding to me. It's just that when you really break down what the rotation might be this year, it's kind of hard to find minutes. We know they need a different ball handler, but I just see him as more of a scoring guard than I do an offensive initiator, at least right now.
I would just say, I like what Frank looked like tonight. And again, I think everybody can see
Do we lose you?
Can you hear me? Sorry,
yeah,
I had a call come in.
Sorry, but that happens to me. My boss calls me, and I'm just like, I'm doing Spotify Live. I can't talk right now.
It's my birthday tomorrow, and everybody's calling me right now. And oh my God, it's a whole thing. But no, the thing I wanted to say, he could steal Frank's minutes if Frank comes out sluggish or not giving that energy that that Hardy looks like he can bring on the court. His energy, I understand what you're saying about the Josh Green of. Well, I'm gonna get out of here. I got a hell of a lot of people calling me right now.
Your phone is blowing up. Well, early happy birthday! Thank you for joining us, Ruben.
Thank you. Thanks, Kirk.
All right, talk soon. Mm-hmm. All right, we got couple more folks. Sam, what's up?
Kirk, long time no talk. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks for joining us. What do you got tonight?
Oh, I had to defend my boy Christian Wood a little bit.
Somebody's got to play some defense. Just kidding.
No, but I get what you're saying. I mean, hey, at the end of the day, if the man gives you 16 and 10 every night, you're going to take that, obviously. But I don't know if you watch YouTube. Well, I think you obviously watch YouTube, but I don't know if you watch the Thinking Basketball channel. And I remember last year they were talking about Luka and his defense, because obviously, we know Luka's not the fleetest of foot and he's not the best defender. But in that Phoenix series, Jason Kidd said, hey, you got to step up, play a little defense. And they did a whole segment on, hey, he wasn't necessarily playing lockdown defense, but he was playing really damn good help defense, and he was just running the defense pretty much. He was doing what he was supposed to do. And I feel like Christian Wood can get to that point. Obviously, it's preseason's new team, got to learn everything. Like the same thing happened last year when we were god awful in the first half of the year, and then somehow it just clicked in January and then on. So I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's still trying to learn everything. So hopefully season starts, he'll be motivated. It's a contract year for him. So if he wants to get paid, I feel like he would at least show a little bit of enthusiasm on defense.
Sure. So, no, everybody that's saying we need time is correct. I just wanted to say that part out loud because I felt it's been 3 public appearances, I'm not necessarily calling them games. We're seeing some stuff that makes me go, ugh. And I hadn't done it yet. I've done 3 Spotify Lives, and I hadn't said anything. Had to do it at some point. Might as well be the second half of a podcast that nobody's going to listen to. Thanks so much, Sam. Do you got anything else?
No, actually, I was going to say, Ruben, it's his birthday tomorrow. It's my brother's birthday tomorrow. So shout out to my brother. So happy birthday.
That's right. Well, thanks so much for joining, Sam.
Hey, not a problem. Have a good night.
Yep. Leo points out that KP has broken Mavs fans on body language. Man, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. There's some funky stuff that happens when you've got to deal with KP for a while. Guys, excellent first showing. Thank you for coming up and talking with me, for arguing with me. It's going to be a good season. We're going to have fun. We got Friday game against the Magic. Yeah. That'll be, and then there's one more preseason game after that. I'll be doing one of these on Friday night. And we will see how things go. I hope everybody has a good rest of their week. And please, if you haven't already, go to your favorite podcast, platform, leave me a review. That sort of stuff really helps. And check out everything on MavsWinningBall.com. Everyone have a great Thursday, Friday. Talk soon.
Today's episode is brought to you by Cars.com. With over 2 million vehicles and 50,000 more added every day, Cars.com will match you with the perfect car for you, your budget, your life, your style. And if you're ready to say goodbye to your current car, Cars.com will get you an instant offer to cash it in. Just start by entering your license plate and get matched with a local dealer who will write you the check. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, just go to Cars.com. It's magical.